Hello and welcome back to episode 24 of the Peaking into Success podcast. Today we've got on a Hungarian goalkeeper that has played for teams like Bolton as well as Liverpool. We have on Adam Bogdan.
The Bless is open every day from 12 p.m, serving a wide range of beers, ciders, real ales and spirits. Their kitchen also provides handmade pizzas, loaded nachos, chicken strips and ice cream from 5:50 to 10:30 Monday to Thursday and 12 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. Friday, Saturday and Sunday. The pub quiz is very popular with anyone that enjoys a good beer and a bit of a laugh with their mates. Taking place every Wednesday at 9 p.m. There's loads of prizes to be won, including £50 drinks vouchers for the winners and a bottle of wine for the best team name. Everyone's a winner. They also have a spacious function room available to hire that can hold up to 100 people. Wow, that's a lot. Perfect for birthday parties, work events, weddings and wakes. The Bless really comes to life at the weekends with their branded nights of Stone Love and Fully Loaded, where the DJs play alternative, indie and rock music spanning the generations until the early hours of 2 a.m. There really is something for everyone in what is arguably Derby's best pub.
Hi Adam, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you very much for inviting me.
Oh no, thank you. Hopefully we'll find out a bit about you and kind of your career, and hopefully people can kind of, if they're looking to have a career in football and goalkeeping, they'll kind of see what the life of a footballer is. It's, of course, you've been at some very well-known clubs in England, so you're well thought of in England, so it'd be good to get your story and your kind of ups and downs in your career.
Yep, go ahead.
So do you want to start off with when you came to England when you were 20 and signing with Bolton, sorry?
Yeah, so, starting from before my childhood dream was to play in the Premier League. You know, the only motivation really I had when I played football in Hungary is to be able to join a Premier League club. And, when we joined the EU, suddenly it felt like it is a possibility because I think it was just easier to get into the UK. And I started to be a part of the national teams, under 18, under 19 and under 20 and under 21 as well. And then I sort of felt like, okay, my size, and I'm 6'4", 6'5". It sort of gives me the opportunity to have a trial, and it proved to be. I had a trial at Bolton, and they were looking for a keeper in that sort of age. I was 19 at the time, and just turning 20, and with the I sort of fit the requirements, and then the hard work really started. Because the dream came true and I signed for Bolton, and then I had to learn and I had to physically develop. I had to be faster, and it took me a couple of years while playing in the reserves, but physically, mentally, and everything wise, I had to really improve a lot. I had a really physical and very good coach, Fred Barber. And it wasn't a walk in the park for sure, but in the end I got what I always wanted, and my dream came true when I played my first game against Birmingham in the Premier League.
Yeah, that the one where you replaced Jaskalainen? Did Jaskalainen come off injured in that game?
Yeah, UC was unbelievable. For me, when I was watching the Premier League from 2004-05, that's when I think Bolton was in the best shape. 2005-06, and UC was one of my favorite keeper while watching the Premier League. So just to be able to have the chance from life that I was able to train with him, it still gives me the goosebumps, and I could only learn from him. It was unbelievable. I could relate to him, in terms of size, in terms of coming from, he was coming from Finland, I'm coming from Hungary. Of course, we don't look the same, but in terms of qualities, you can draw some similarities. And I thought, if he made it and he plays like this, although it looks very unlikely at the moment, in 2007 that I'm going to reach that level, but that gave me definitely hope. And on the way, when I look forward to what I would like to accomplish, and he had to be honest, it was a very little minor slap. I think he slapped or pushed the opposition in the face, and then he got sent off, and that's why I came in, and it was really good because I think I had a couple, 3 games I played, and you could show that you are capable of in that level, at least on a short term for sure, and. And he came back. Of course, he played most, and I would say 90% of the games that season. But that gave me the push as well to okay, it's possible. You're there. You need to train harder. You need to be faster. Blah blah blah. So it was good times.
And I mean, following on from that, you then became Bolton's player of the year you were relegated with them, didn't you? So it showed that even though it wasn't the best result for Bolton, you'd pushed on and you'd cemented yourself in that Bolton team and was a mainstay. You got over 100 appearances for Bolton in the end, didn't you?
Yeah, so that's I would say the one of my proudest, but definitely if you I think you're gonna ask me what were my let me just close this window because the dogs are barking and it might be.
It's okay.
Yeah, I'm back, and I've seen your question. So, one of the in fact, it's still the worst day in football of my life. The relegation with Bolton, and that's something that I don't think I'm ever going to be over that feeling because it's simply, it's individually, the season was fantastic for me, team-wise and club-wise and city-wise. It's a disaster, as simple as that. And for somebody who always, take a lot on his shoulders about the community and other people like me, that's probably still the hardest and most devastated day, as well as being proud of personal achievement. But yeah, we got relegated at the end, and then it was horrible.
And I mean, from there, of course, you stayed around Bolton for a bit longer before, of course, venturing up to Hibs. How was your time at Hibs, and then, of course, moving on to your big move at Liverpool?
Yeah, so it was first Liverpool, and then Wigan, and then with the injury. So, but don't worry. We stayed. So 3 more years. My contract was for 3 more years in the Championship, and the first year we almost got out of the league. We missed out on goal differences against Leicester. The famous Leicester-Watford game.
Yes.
When
the ghost goal.
Yeah. So Leicester went into that playoff, and we just missed out against them on the final day. We played against Blackpool, and everybody thought that we're going to win easy. We play home, and they had nothing to play for. And that's, as usual, they were 2-0 up after 20 minutes. And then we got back in the first half, and the second half, we couldn't score the third one. And that's another season where it ended with disappointment. And then of course I had 2 more years at Bolton, and always managed to. We sort of shared the games with Andy Lonergan. It's partly because he was a very good keeper, and he still is, and partly because I got injured quite a lot. But at the end, I always managed to get my place back. And in 2015, I played good games. I had a good game against Liverpool, for example, that helped a lot. And my contract was finished, and I decided not to renew it. And then Liverpool came in the summer, and that was unreal and unbelievable, but on a personal level, a very it was just a great accomplishment, to join this team. My contract was finished, and then on a personal level, there was a fantastic achievement that Liverpool came and signed me. It was something that of course you dream about it, because you want to play in a top club. But that was a little bit unreal when you come from a championship and somebody. But I had a good season, to be honest. So when I had a good game against them, so there were some signs that it's there, and it was everything I expected. It was intense. It was absolutely different level to Bolton in the championship at that time. I had to again get stronger, get quicker, understand the game better, understand what we unfortunately haven't had for a long time at Bolton, that every game you have to win, and if you don't win the game, it's a disaster. It really is. Yeah, the nature of being in a top team, that every defeat, especially at home, it's like a small tragedy, and that's because the history of the club, the recent history, but we were not in the best shape yet. Brendan Rodgers, who's a fantastic manager in my opinion, but that time it was almost like you could feel that his era could come to an end, and it did in October, and Europe came, and for him, he played a lot of players. He was finding his way. We managed to get into the Europa League final at the end, and we managed to get into the League Cup final as well, which was personally I really wanted to win. The big games in the League Cup beforehand, and it was my debut against Carlisle, and with so I really wanted to win that cup because I felt personally very attached to it. But eventually, I got my chance against Watford in the Premier League, and then I played against in the FA Cup, and neither of the games went really well for me. In fact, they were quite horrible. And then Danny Ward came back from Aberdeen, who's ever since is a proven player, in the Premier League or in Championship, and for his country as well, and he became the second choice, and my sort of position just dropped to be third choice, which was really hard to digest. I have to be honest, not because it couldn't happen, but in the fact that I was sort of like number one for a long time by then at Bolton, and then you sort of feel like you're dropping back. And the Euros was in the summer, and I wanted to go on loan to have a chance to be in the Hungarian squad for the Euros, which I didn't manage to get in at the end, and the next season I had to go on loan to play and get back to the national team, and also I had the motivation for that. And then of course Karius came, and Danny Ward went on loan to Huddersfield. He got promoted. They went to the Premier League, but went back to it. There's a lot of keepers been around, but eventually, they signed the perfect keeper for me in Alisson. They had to do it, and that spine with him, with Virgil van Dijk, and also the people who were already there, like with Henderson and Milner, Firmino, before that Coutinho, but you addition Mane. It was just an unbelievable transformation that what Liverpool produced under Klopp and what Klopp created from that good individuals, good mass. But he sculpted it really, really fantastically well, and we've seen it in the last couple of years. They win the Champions League, they win the Premier League. They worked unbelievably hard, and long hours, and they did the right things. All the squad, so the coaching staff, the players, anybody who's involved with just deserves everything that they achieved. It was just, and of course I went on loan to Wigan. And the reason why I can speak about it, because I played until December, but I've done my cruciate ligament. And then I went back to Liverpool to do the rehab. So all this transition and all the the steps to getting in the right direction for the club, I was watching it from crutches and doing rehab. But I was there, and it's nothing is magic. It's just, when you have good people in the board, when everybody's pulling in the right direction with the right manager, then they are able to bring in the right people, the right players as well, then chances are that you're going to win things. And yeah, that's what happened.
100%. So, of course, you said you went to Wigan and you've had an amazing time at Liverpool. Did you kind of feel when your time was coming to an end and where you needed to maybe go out on loan again or find a new club to kind of play at? Did you feel that yourself, that personally?
So for me, I think was what was clear is that when I dropped back from second to third, it was hard to digest. And if I stayed more patient, I think with myself, with what I expected and what I thought that people expect from me, then I could have. There's a little chance that it could have been a different story. But that's, I think, from your questions, that this is the importance. Sometimes people cannot really change their what they feel inside, and what you feel inside is you want to play, because you've been playing the last 3-4 years. You worked hard for being playing, and then as a second choice, it's always there. You want to push your mind again. But when you drop back to third, that's a hard one. Okay, what are you gonna do? Okay, you train, but then you sit on the stand. It's not an easy position, and not an easy position for somebody who is 29 or 30. When you may be 35 or 36 or maybe only 18, you can do it. But having said that, I could have been a bit more patient with myself to choose where I would like to go next, if I choose. But I was really eager, and I was very happy from Wigan. The Wigan, wanted me, and the Wigan wanted to take me on. I was like, yes, they want me. And I think I go back, I play the championship games. I know that it just, and maybe sometimes I think like maybe I could have waited and I could have fought and give myself another year, because it's a big step. It's a big step from the championship to go to Premier League, let alone to go to one of the top clubs. And sometimes time to adopt, to get used to the requirements, to get used to the new stuff, and especially so if you ask me if I have some regret, maybe I could have stayed a little bit more patient. But at the same time, what I felt, that time I was really, really, really felt it strong that I wanted to play, and I wanted to go out and play on loan, and give myself the best chance to play for the national team again, to get out and play, and not just to sit potentially. Because when you see it, like in your mind, you think, I'm going to sit here for a season. Sometimes things happen and somebody gets injured and you might be in the next, and then somebody. So it's a lot of things. But at that time, I felt really, really strong that I wanted to play and wanted to move on. Coming back, injured and do my rehab. I think it was pretty clear, and that I had one and a half season left on my contract, that I have to go out and on loan again and play. And that's when Hibs came along, because my rehab was a really, really long one. It didn't go according to plan. I was doubting myself if I ever gonna come back. But can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, you're just face froze. But then Neil Lennon rang me. He was the Hibs manager, and he was my man. Bolton, and he said, "Hey, Adam, just come up and play here." And I was like, okay, I had other plans in my mind. I didn't want to go even more north. I wanted to go south or somewhere. And then I was like, okay, let's see. And then we went there. And it was one of the nicest and best experience in my career. Not necessarily in terms of quality. I hope they don't. But compared to Liverpool and maybe compared to Bolton in the Premier League, not necessarily in terms of quality, but in terms of genuine people. A lovely city. The club is amazing. The support is amazing. It's a historical club. I'm still moved, when I think how nicely they treated me and how well they accepted me there. And for me, was an incredible experience. Again, like in so many times in my career, unfortunately, came to an end with an injury. I had a concussion which I recovered very lengthily, and then they changed the manager and stuff. But that was after the first 6 months. So what else should I say? Yeah, don't get injured. I guess that's my method.
And then after Hibs, you went back to Hungary, haven't you? So how was your time in Hungary compared to England?
Yeah, after the first year, in Hibs, they had the manager, and they didn't renew they didn't offer me another season. But then the manager left around November time, and then the club offered me the contract straight after. So I went back from December or 1st of January, but I was training from December. And then I was there and I enjoyed it. We were settled. We rented the apartment and everything. And then COVID came,
yes,
2020, and then they cancelled the league. So I'm like, oh wow, that's nice. But then, at that time, the Ferencváros, the Hungarian, the record champions and the biggest team, we get. If it's a good game, you get like 15,000. If it's a really good game, you get 20,000-25,000. For the for like Europa League games. So it's a big team, biggest team in Hungary, and the biggest support. And they wanted to sign me, and they asked me like, what is my position in the summer? And I was like, I don't know at that time. But the COVID came, they cancelled the league, and I think it was pretty obvious. Like, I got a good offer, and after 13 years being abroad or being in England and Scotland, it felt really, really nice to get home. I can't lie, that feeling that when you have a summer break or you have a couple of days off and you came home, and then you go you have to go to the airport and you go back. As much as you love, and as much as I loved football in England, and I loved my teammates and where I was, it's always hard to leave home. It's not gonna change. And for the first time in 13 years, I felt like, okay, summer is over, but I'm still home. And then we were in the Champions League in the first year, then the Europa League in the second year, and the third year Europa League again. I played some games. I didn't play. I wasn't the first choice. The first choice is became the first choice for the national team as well. But after the first year, I managed to get back into the national team, and we went to the Euros, which was an incredible feeling and an unbelievable situation. After given the fact that I missed out from the 2016 Euro.
Yeah.
Also, when we were kids, we always had to support some other nations because Hungary didn't make it when we were kids. and my generation is the one who qualified for the Euros again, and these lads now they're going to qualify for the World Cup since '86. So it was a big deal, and it was in the home. It was in front of the home crowd in the national stadium, drawing against France and playing against Portugal, and have a chance at the end in Germany to almost go through. Being part of that group again, that was an incredible feeling. So, and now my contract is finished, so that's why we have the time to talk.
Brilliant. And I mean, going through your whole career there, it just shows how much you have achieved, and you can kind of, in this time now, while you are a free agent, you can kind of look back on it all and kind of digest what you've actually been able to do in your career. Is there a particular moment that sticks out as your biggest achievement in your career so far?
I think the biggest achievement, maybe it's not something that others would think, but for me personally, just the fact that I was able to make my debut in the Premier League is what I worked the hardest in my life. That was on my mind since I was 10. The Premier League, and then when I got to Bolton, it was the unbelievable. Again, I'm using this word, but it's a workload that I haven't done before in order to get to the level where sort of could reach Yussi's and Ali Al Habsi's level. It took me years, 1 or 2 years, and then get a little bit of experience just to be able to for the coaching staff to consider me that I'm good enough in training. So then therefore he has a chance to make it. A lot of work was to be done. A lot of concentration. And when you do it, it's the best thing. It's like goalkeeping in general. Like I'd never really looking forward to a game. You're always a bit anxious, a bit nervous about okay, what did I miss? What do I have to? I'll have to, keep my eye on that one, talk to this guy, that one. But when the job is done and you keep a clean sheet and you win, it's like you can relax now. That's the best word.
I mean, you've got a lot of games where, of course, you made penalty saves as well. Do they kind of ring fondly as games in your head? As of course you had the penalty save against Rooney, and then of course you mentioned earlier the Carlisle saving 3 penalties that game. Do they kind of have significant kind of ties to you due to being a goalkeeper?
Yeah, I have to be honest. It's something that you want to say because I never really said this, but growing up, I liked United because of the team, the 1999 team.
Yeah.
Go to Old Trafford and save the penalty from Rooney, but have scoring against you in the 44th minute. It's things like, take it because you say you score. So I was living in a dreamland. To go to those stadiums, to compete with, to have a conversation with De Gea after the game, to have a conversation. Sometimes I'm still shocked. Sometimes you're speaking to Begovic, or I just had a conversation with Joe Hart because we're going back to see him against Ross County. So I have, it's for you it's normal, but for me it's something that is when I think about it, you start smiling, So the debut, of course, for Liverpool was a dream. We struggled in the game, and then it comes to penalties, and sometimes in this situation you fancy that the lower league teams because that's how sometimes it goes. But then I was so focused. I knew where I would go. I think 1 or 2, but then there's another couple that didn't know where he's gonna go. I just sense it. So yeah, there's the big things, but for me personally, as a professional point of view, the biggest game of my life was probably against Liverpool, where everything was just psychologically, mentally, physically, everything was a spot on performance, and that gives you a better. Okay, you can save a penalty, and you need to be focused, and you need to be tuned in to save a penalty. But that's just one action. When you have like a 90 minutes or 95 minutes of game, when you're in control and when you're focused and you're doing the right decision, making the right decision throughout the 90 minutes, and then there's a reward at the end that you keep a clean sheet. I think that's what I remember probably the best, you know. And there's another thing. There's one more where I thought like, when we played against Southampton with Liverpool, you know, in the cup game, and we won 6-1, I think.
Yeah.
And I thought, fucking hell, man! Like I'm playing in this team. You know, we go away to Southampton and they score 6. You know, my team scoring 6. You know, I never really played in those teams. And once we beat with Bolton, we beat Leeds away. I think it was 5-1, I think. But there's good feeling. But you think like you play with your like Sturridge and Henderson, and you think, wow, okay, the bar is really high now, but it actually gives you the good feeling that these guys, they are your teammates, you know.
Exactly, and I mean you've named a few kind of recent modern day icons of the game that you played against them too, and it just shows what level you got to, and saving the penalty against Rooney, it shows the work that you put in and the level that you got to, which of course younger people coming up nowadays might not realise how big them people were at the time. What are kind of your plans now? So of course you're currently a free agent. Is there any interest from any clubs? Of course you don't have to disclose who they are, but is the plan to continue playing, or is it to go into something else to do with football?
Right, the question is good. You know, I had some offers in Hungary,
Okay.
which I can take, partly because, you know, I'm very picky, partly because we are based in Budapest, and the teams were not in Budapest, and I would have had to travel. But anyways, I decided not to take those options, and I think there's a very strong possibility. I would say 80-90% that it's me. That's the of the playing career for me. And I have plans. You know, I applied to a good course. The reason why I don't talk about it because I don't want to say that I'm in the course. I would like to come back in 2 years and say that, you know, I've done the course.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something that I'm really interested in, how club is run, and what direction you can add to a club's life, and how to manage a club, and also I'm also starting the goalkeeping B as well as an addition, which, because I have the love for goalkeeping, and I have I think I have I think I have some ability to teach and show younger keepers how to get into the first team, because for me it was the biggest, most memorable phase of my life. You know, when I went to Bolton at 19, and you're sort of in between the first team and the second team, and you're just coming out of academy, and how do you make the transfer? What you need to learn, how humble you need to be, how much, you know, strength you need to gain, and all these things. So I have a really good understanding of that. I think mentally as well, psychologically as well. So that's something that interests me as well. But I'm really interested, and probably more interested in the big picture of how a club is organized, and how a club is run, and if I could, you know, learn and speak to and meet a lot of people who has done it and learn from them in the next couple of years. That's something that it would satisfy me. But at the same time, I have a little doubt of like, because you miss the ball, you're gonna miss it. It's at the end of the day, if somebody said to me just now that, hey Adam, let's go for a five-a-side or something, I would do it. I would still do it because, but life is. It's sometimes when you have a career like this, you don't always jump on an opportunity because you start considering your family, you start considering this and this, and when you're that picky and you're not in that much need, and you're 36, your chances are not gonna be not gonna be that many anymore. So that's why I'm saying I think it's definitely going in the direction to hang up my boots, but I haven't announced it yet because you never might somebody need for a keeper for a couple of months or for 6 months, and you might be in. It's always like that. But I'm definitely and I'm gonna take steps towards to be on the other side as well, and that's an exciting project as well.
100%. I mean, the experience you've got, especially with the English clubs and who you've been around, you would have gained the contacts to try and gain more knowledge of other people, and of course the coaches you would have met along the way. You can use their experiences and their knowledge to hopefully progress you into this new role and this new chapter in your life. Kind of moving on a bit, is there one piece of advice that you'd give to your younger self? So if you went back to 18, 19-year-old Adam, is there anything that you can think of that you'd tell him as a piece of advice now?
Yes, just, I think for me, it was always about, not necessarily mentality, but to see myself from the outside. And the best I've always been when I had people around me accidentally or purposely, saying that, Adam, you're good, or don't worry about it, or think, because I naturally worry about it, and I put a lot of thought, especially when I feel I made a mistake. And then if somebody points it out, you made a mistake and you shit and all these things, then you can sort of, you play on your mind. Yeah. But as soon as someone's there to point out that, hey, look at this from this angle and do this, and you're fucking brilliant, by the way, and blah, 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 from a person that you trust, you can come out of it and you think, like, sometimes that's all I needed. I tell you, maybe a story is a good story is, like Andy Lonergan. We were, like I said, in the 3 years, we I would say played similar amount of games because, like I said before, I was injured, but also because he was good, always got my place back. But when you're injured and you play some games and the team is in mid-table, it means you lose some games, you win some games. It's a roller coaster, the championship. Sometimes you doubt. Just like, fuck's sake, because I want to do everything perfect. I want every game to be shit. If it's not, then it's hard to take. And then he asked me, like, hey, what's wrong? We were out in a Christmas party in Dublin, and then we had a couple of pints, and then he said, like, hey, what's wrong? Why are you so miserable sometimes? And it's like, it's just, like maybe it's not, the season doesn't go the way, and I said, hey, just don't fucking worry about it, You were one of the best keepers I've ever played with. And he said something else, And then from that moment, I'm like, wow, he thinks of me like that? Honestly, that's, baby, I'm, And sometimes in this kind of like light bulb moments of like honest conversation. So my I think my advice to younger ones is to speak, really, ask questions. If you have anything in your mind. For me, another one was the speaking to like a sports psychologist, and it turns out the questions on my mind which I found so silly, it turns out it's pretty normal stuff, and it's just the type of person you are. And then sometimes if you have a good psychologist, it can give you like a very easy answers to that, and it's like, oh, okay, so you can share this, and then you share it and you move on, and you focus on the main thing. So speak to people. I think you, and also there's one thing that I learned: you're never as good as you think you are, and then you're never as bad as you think you are.
Yeah, no, that's nice. That's a nice way of putting it. I've got some quick fire questions for you now. I think you'll know majority of the answers just off the top of your head. So we'll go into them. The first one is, what's the best player you've played against and played with? So who you played well, like the best person you played with and the best person you played against in your career.
Okay, so it's a bit hard because I looked up when I was younger. I looked up to players a lot, but maybe so the best player I played against it's hard for me. I would say Van Persie, just because in his form before he moved to United, that's when I played against him, and I played against him in the national team as well. He was unbelievable. In that couple of years, I didn't feel or feared on the pitch more than somebody like him, because that time he was on fire. But I can drop names now because I played against Didier Drogba. Thierry Henry came back in that January from America, and he played on that game, and when we played against Arsenal. You have Scholes, Rooney. So I could name a lot of Lampard. Scored the hat-trick. Horrible game for me. But I would say to play with the biggest shock. Firstly, it was Aniaka. When I went to Bolton, he was still there. Yeah. I trained with him in the game. So I would say Firmino, because for me he's in his prime, maybe not in the last year, but before for 7 years, he's just an incredible player, incredible. And I think he was it's hard to say who's the main piece in an engine, but he was definitely one of the most important one for Liverpool. But having said that, I was lucky. I Sturridge, for me, another one. He was a super talent. Coutinho, I played with him when he went to Barcelona for that fee. He was incredible. So, sometimes I blame myself in training, like how he scored, and then you look the video back and you think like, fuck, okay, maybe I shouldn't put myself in here. I would probably that these two, but again, I was really, really lucky, in that Bolton team, for example. You had Kevin Nolan, who's at West Ham now as an assistant coach. He was incredible as well. And for me, when I arrived, the level between me and those players just huge. I almost felt like I didn't make a save, and it's probably true as well. In the first couple of months in that Premier League training session. So let's say that the biggest impression and the biggest form of his life, it was Van Persie.
Nice.
But against I played some incredible players, and like I said, Drogba was one, Lampard, Thierry Henry came back. So I would just repeat myself, but to play with Djukovic, Yeah, he would be upset with me now. He's a good friend of mine that I don't mention him as one of the best players, but he was definitely a good one. But I would pick Duke, but I'm gonna pick Firmino.
Nice. Who's your footballing icon? So when you were growing up, who was the person you looked up to?
Michael.
Any reason?
Again, it's somebody I could relate to. Physique, look, just the character, just the way he represents himself in the pitch, the unusual saves he made, and probably I was 7, 8, 9, 10 at that time, maybe 12. Maybe 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 when Champions League games were on. United was always there, so probably that's why as well.
Nice. What's the favourite stadium that you've played at in your career?
Here we go. People will get upset now. Okay, the favorite home ground it's the Reebok for me. I think it's beautiful. It's a beautiful stadium. I really enjoyed it. I loved the stadium. The nicest, I would say, Arsenal. Nice. It's just a classy ground in it. It's just beautiful. And atmosphere-wise, definitely Anfield. It's incredible. But the child in me who looked up to that 1999 United, I would always say a special ground is Old Trafford as well. And the fact that I could play there, that was special for me.
Perfect.
But Chelsea as well, because it's in West London. It's a big stadium. It's compact. So yeah, you can choose a lot from it, to be honest.
Nice. Is there a stadium you always dreamed to play at which you didn't get to?
You know what comes to my mind? Because it's a quick fire one. Stade de France. Because in 1998, where the World Cup was, you could see, the way the stairs going, the way it looks. I don't know. It's a funny shape, and then I never got to play there. So that's something that just came to my mind. I was most of the stadiums in England where I always wanted to get to. And probably Real Madrid, I would say.
Nice.
These are.
I don't know if you do or you don't collect any football shirts, so I don't know if you swap shirts with anyone, but if you have, what's kind of the jewel in your collection?
Yeah, I swapped, and I just posted one on Instagram. Like Hendo just left Liverpool, and I found one, a Henderson shirt. We played against England in Hungary, but I have Reina when we played against each other. I have a Lion one. Coutinho, I have a Coutinho. The swap with Joe Hart when we played against Celtic. I don't know. I have an Elmander somewhere as well. Johan Elmander, Swedish shirt. I don't know. All of them are great. But in terms of like biggest name, probably Coutinho. I have his Barcelona shirt as well. When we played against Barcelona in the Champions League with Ferencváros. Yeah, I probably would say that. If I left somebody out, I'm sorry.
Want to know what's happening within Derby's black community? Or perhaps you have a story of your own to share? Then look no further than Majatu, your one-stop source for local African and Caribbean news. With our digital news platform and quarterly print magazine, keep up to date on all of the latest in arts, entertainment, food, sports and more. Find us online at mojatu.com.
So, Adam, who is your best friend in the footballing world? So someone that you kind of keep in contact with and always kind of meet up with them when you can.
Right. So it's Duke. I was at his wedding, and now it's I just visited him in his when they were in training camp in Spain, but I haven't seen him for 4 years because I was of course I'm in Budapest and he's in Birmingham, so it's not easy. I keep in touch with a couple of boys in Hibs, but yeah, mainly keepers as well. There's a young keeper, Kevin Dabrowski. He plays in Wraith Rovers now. So yeah. So when I'm over, which I'm going on Thursday, I'll see those guys.
Nice. And then the last question is, if you had to choose one kind of meal to eat now, would you pick a Hungarian dish or an English dish? Because, of course, you spent a lot of time in England, so kind of which cuisine do you fancy more?
Definitely. I'm not a big fan of either one, to be honest. Traditional English cuisine, I wouldn't say is the most famous one in the world. And Hungarian one, which is very tasty, is probably not the healthiest. If I can put it very, very nicely, I would choose Hungarian, but some dishes, because it's a lot of meat, a lot of what's the pig's meat? Sorry,
pork.
It's a lot of pork. It's a lot of it's a lot of meat, and I try to eat not too much meat. But if it's a fish and chips is done nicely, I really like it.
Nice.
I like, to be honest. Okay, you could say it's probably British now, but I like Indian food as well. They're the tastiest hell. It's crazy. It's so nice. Yeah, but I'm not a big food guy. I enjoy Mediterranean food, to be honest. When we go to next to the sea, in Italy or something, that you get a couple of shrimps and crabs and you get some prosecco next to it. I'm happy.
Perfect. Just to round up today, where can people find you now? Because of course you're not going to be on the football pitch as much. Where can people kind of follow your journey more and kind of find out what you're doing next?
I guess on Instagram. I try to be better with that. My wife always tells me that you should have a structure to it and don't post stupid things about playing tennis, because I like playing tennis. And also try to be. It's a hard one, because when you play football and you've done a game and somebody sends you a picture of it and you post it, you're proud of it because it was at the game.
Yeah.
When it comes to almost like a self-promotion of I'm taking this course, I'm in here, it sounds a bit, I don't know, busy, So I guess Instagram would be the best to follow me, but I don't. You're not going to be in the front page. I hope so. Hopefully not. When you played as a football player, that's for sure. But if somebody will mention me in the future that I helped his career, or that I was a good influence on him, then for me that would be a big honor or like a good feeling.
Nice. Thank you for coming on and kind of telling your career and everyone being able to find out more about you. So thank you for that.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Peaking to Success podcast. If you enjoyed, please make sure you follow us on Spotify as well as Instagram, where you can see all the updates of who is coming up, as well as who has already been on the podcast, as well as Twitter, where there is information and interaction from me on there as well. Thank you.